ready. I have my ring light set up and we are going to get started with Midnight Sun. Love the color, love pomegranates. Ooh, I probably will not be alone for the video because I have so many kittens. We took in a stray and she was very young and she was pregnant. So now we have a whole bunch of cats. That being said, Midnight Sun, Stephenie Meyer. I'm going to annotate it. I've got some little stickies here thanks from my daughter, and we're just gonna roll and see how it goes. So I've got my glasses, both pair, and my water, comfies, and I think we're good to go. So hope you enjoy the show. All right, so just a brief, do this so that I can actually see. All right, so just a brief pause. I'm only about halfway done with chapter 1, and it's not any better or worse than I expected. However, this was kind of interesting is that I'm just reading this line in my book, the hardback. It's on page 13, pretty much close to the top of the page. Anyway, there's a line and it's Edward talking about himself. And I know that he's talking about himself, but that's not really what I'm feeling. It's not what, it's just not, I'm not there. But the reason why I'm not there is because I hear someone else speaking, and that's actually Mercutio. So if you don't know who Mercutio is, he is Romeo's best friend in Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So Mercutio has this big spiel, very long monologue. It's called Queen Mab, it's about Queen Mab. And he's talking about Tybalt. So this little line that I just read really just reminded me of that speech where Tybalt is being described. So I guess maybe Tybalt and Edward are a little alike. I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading. So I just want to throw that in there. And my daughter says, just improv, Mom, because I'm sitting here like, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? And I look over at her because I'm like mouthing, things. She's like, just improv, Mom. Okay, so, done with chapter 1. It's all pretty and tabbed up there. I normally don't rate chapters. I don't think I've ever rated chapters before, but I'm gonna rate these chapters just for the heck of it. I've given it about a 3 out of 5. It was good, but there were also some things that really confused me, or things that were placed in a way within a scene that kind of just again confused me. And it wasn't even the pacing, it was almost like the scene, the story, right? And so there's these descriptive elements. So you think that scene, because this is, Twilight from Edward's point of view, so we know what the scene is. So there's something that's been described. My husband is working from home. Yeah, that's work. And it's really nice to hear him laugh because he normally never laughs. Anywho, so I think, okay, I know the scene, I know what's going on. I turn the page, and it's like we're at the beginning of the scene, although they just described what happened in the scene the page before. Anyone else have that problem with chapter 1, or is it just me? Do I need to go back and like reread this? Another thing, I found it to be really dark in areas, like the mapping out of how he's going to kill Bella. Like, yeah, it's known, it's assumed, it's said even in the film, I believe, that he just has this desire to, like, you know, kill her or whatever. I get that. I knew that was coming. But to actually see it written was something I'm not used to, because I don't read that kind of stuff. So, hopefully it doesn't get too gory or too dark. Otherwise it would be like a major turn off. But other than that, I'm enjoying it so far. And I'll probably read some more. Yeah, definitely actually gonna read some more for the next few hours probably, because that's what I'm doing today since I've already cooked. So I'll be back. Okay, so I just finished chapter 2 and I'm gonna give it 2 stars out of 5. It wasn't super exciting. There were some things that I either don't remember ever catching on about before. One was that I'll mention is Tanya. So in Twilight and also in the film, I don't remember that bit about Tanya. And the other thing, man, Emmett, who I think is so cute, and yeah, he's, you know, he's expressive, funny, whatever, but man, in chapter 2, he's like a real ball buster. And I think it was a bit much. So about the 2 out of 5, it could also be because not only am I annotating it and I'm tabbing it up, but I'm also underlining and I am highlighting, including highlighting dialogue, and it's starting to look like a screenplay or a theater script. So on chapter 3, I'm going to try to not annotate or highlight as much and see if I get through it any better and see if what I'm doing is distracting me from the story. It could also be that it's really just exactly like Twilight. I'm just getting a little bit more into Edward's head. I will say that chapter 1 was a little bit more interesting. It was also a little bit more darker, which I wasn't too happy about, but at least it made it a little bit more exciting. So we'll just see what happens in chapter 3. Alright, so I was going to give this third chapter a 2 out of 5, and I decided to give it a 3 out of 5 only because I actually laughed. I laughed in the other chapters, but this one I laughed, I think, out loud a little bit more. My husband working in the background. Anyway, yeah, so I laughed. Did I really get much? No, but I got some laughter and some, I guess, behind the scenes, you know, and that was cool. So 4 is next. Alright, well, I just finished 4, and I gave it 4 out of 5. I actually found that this chapter moved the fastest so far as pacing. There were some hiccups, like repetitive words. I think there were some in the previous chapters as well, but I'm really starting to notice the repetitive words. Also, some of the word choices I found to be really common considering how old these vampires are. It would have been neat to see some older language. So, another thing is that although some of these word choices and word phrases were, in my opinion, too common, the one that was probably really common, maybe like in the 90s when I was actually already in college then, but it actually made me laugh because I didn't see that coming out of Edward's mouth, and it was really funny. I really also enjoyed the family dynamic in this chapter. It really gave some depth into obviously the family dynamics, and we're not just seeing into Edward's mind, but we're also seeing the reasoning of the family and how that plays into what Edward is struggling with. So I think that's why this chapter was really interesting. Again, I also laughed. It was by far the best one yet. And now on to chapter 5. Alright, well, I thought I was going to read pretty much until dark, and I'm not. And I almost put down chapter 5. Not because it was terrible, it wasn't terrible. I'm not going to rate it though, right now. I feel like maybe the chapter was too long, pacing was off. We get to learn a lot about Bella's personality in this chapter, which I felt dragged. And it wasn't that she wasn't interesting, it wasn't that she didn't have some great character traits, but it was just, I don't know how to explain it. There was just something off. It's also getting a little bit darker. Let's see. We're getting to see a lot more of Edward's inner conflict, what's going on in his head, and how he's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it's starting to make sense on the page. Obviously, Bella is a really popular girl, and he's having to deal with that. This is where, and this is really not a spoiler, but in case you're wondering, because you've already maybe saw a review, this is where the word misdemeanor comes into play. So that'll give you an idea of what is taking place in this chapter. Some of Edward's inner thoughts are absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's fiction, I'm a writer myself, and there are things even that I've written, I'm like, why would I write that? Okay, some of the inner thoughts are either really dark and disturbing, right? Or it's just like, just nuts. Like, just, can you just shut it off? Can you just like turn off the brain? You know, there's just some things you just don't share. But I know it's fiction, and I know that we need to know some of this. I think it was a little much, but maybe that's his character that we're learning. I'm glad I'm glad I'm not listening to someone's mind like that. That would drive me insane. So right now I'm not rating this chapter. I need to think about it. I'm tired, but I don't think I'm tired from reading per se. I think I am tired from reading this book, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I know it sounds negative, but I am, like I said, I was annotating and underlining, and it was starting to really look like a screenplay or a theater script. And I was also trying to compare it to the original, which I have not read in years. Am I recording? Oh, yes, I'm recording. Okay, so I haven't read the book in at least 2 years. And it could have actually been 10 years ago that I read it. So, you know, when did I even first get the book? Back in 2012, maybe? I already had my kids. Well, I don't know. So I'm kind of going back and forth between like what I remember from the first novel, or the original, the OG, right? Versus this one, and then also I'm hearing the voices of the characters, the actors in the film. So then I have that in my head, and I think it's just trying to juggle these 3 different mediums. It's just a lot, because I'm not just reading for fun. I'm actually kind of trying to do like an analysis for myself, not a deep one that I'm going to share with anyone else, but yeah, so those are my thoughts. Do I think you should pick it up? Yeah, if you're a Twilight fan, pick it up. I appreciate the series. Is it the best? No, it's not the best. But I do believe there is some merit in it. So far with this writing, it's pretty easy to read. There isn't anything that I really have to like look up as far as like vocabulary. Still a lot of repetitiveness with words and phrases and questioning or descriptions. And you know, but if you don't like it, like if you don't like any of the Twilight books, the original ones, any of the films, I personally wouldn't pick it up. And when I'm done with this, I will probably go back and read the original Twilight from Bella's point of view. I plan on doing that before picking this one up, and it just didn't happen. So I'll be probably doing that. Will I do it right after reading this? I don't know, because tons of stuff I need to read. Like, I want to read War and Peace and Rebecca. And oh my goodness, I have Into the Drowning Deep down there, and it's like, that might be a rough one. So this is going to be my 3rd or 4th try now, trying to pick that book up. I've put it down so many times. So anyway, that's all that I have for you guys today. I will try to load up the next 5 to 7 chapters soon, in the next day or 2. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good night.